in 2020 watching Texas do it. That's why I got so upset, because it's like, we're Texans. Since when does a virus affect Texans? And instead we rolled over, we allowed Greg Abbott to continue to shut us down. But then the thing that I learned, if we haven't watched, as civics plays out between Trump and Biden, is that the power is all at the local level. It's here in Longview. It's here in the state. It's not at the federal. But the irony of the whole deal is when it comes time for voting, between what they say, 81 million votes Joe Biden supposedly got, 75 million Trump got supposedly, right? So that many people voted in the presidential election, but a quarter of that will vote in the midterms. And then a quarter of that will vote in the primaries. Your two probably most crucial election cycles that we have is any primary and the midterms. Because if we talk on the federal level, 100% of the House is up for a re-election. 100%. Which means if we got together with some Democrats and we just primary all of them out, we could change our entire congressional and shift the votes back over to the conservative side if we can primary them. Because that's how you get rid of your rhinos. That's how you get rid of your establishment. It's through the primary election that nobody shows up to vote for. And that's why it's so crucial that we show up March 1st or in between March 1st and February 14th when early voting starts. Because of that. That way we can vote out the establishment and still keep Texas red. Yeah, the down ballots is absolutely crucial. And so now we've got our next two speakers from the district captain for the Convention of States and the Texas State Director of the Convention of States, Shelby Chamberlain and Erika Hatfield.
Thank you, Tex. Hi, y'all. My name's Shelby, and I am the district captain for our area here for Convention of States. If you don't know what Convention of States is, well, Erika, I'm gonna have you explain all that here in a minute. But the thing about it is I didn't know anything about politics until I started standing up for our statue in Marshall, Texas. And one road led down to another road of being introduced to different political figures and them teaching me how to do things and how to go about getting things done. Well, in that process, I came across Convention of States. And I have to say, since I got involved with Convention, I've followed it for years, okay? But I never stepped up to volunteer. But once I did step up to volunteer, the world really opened up to me about how exactly each and every person makes a difference. Because I learned so much about where all of us, we failed. All the crap that's going on right now, it's our fault. Because we did not hold our representatives and our legislators and our Congress people accountable. And the way we do that is by getting involved in our local government, talking to your reps locally, and going to your city meetings and your county meetings, because all of that's done by the people who show up. They are the ones who get to say, yes, we want this done, and no, we don't. And also, like standing up for the statute, okay? If nobody had been there to go against the people who were showing up to try to get it taken down, it would have gotten, they would have had moved to take the next steps to get it done. But because I actually stood up and I was there and I called attention, I was like a town crier, believe me. I literally was out on the streets, knocking on doors, going to businesses and saying, hey y'all, Black Lives Matter come to our town. And the way I knew this was because of my kids, who are, I hate to say it, but they're part of the problem. But following them on social media is how I got notified about all of that. So paying attention to what our younger generations are doing is very, very important. But getting involved locally is more important. I do want to say that Commission of States, we have a table set up over here. We have petitions for the Article 5 Convention of States. Please sign it. You don't have to volunteer if you don't want to, but please sign the petition because it is important. But right now I'm going to hand it over to explain more about Convention of States because I am still new to this and I don't want to screw nothing up. Our Texas State Director of Commission of States, Erika Hatfield.
Wait just a second. She left out a part of the story. she even lost her teeth because she fought so hard for that monument.
Yeah, I did. I got beat up and yeah, I did. And due to COVID, okay, I haven't had time to get into the dentist because I'm unvaccinated, okay? But so that's another problem that we've had. But yeah, I lost my front teeth because I got jumped and beat up standing up for the statue. So
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so how many of you are sick and tired of the flagrant abuse of this nation? I see are you all the ones that are showing up to the polls and the rest of you who are not? Say it again. Who is sick and tired of the flagrant abuse of our... Thank you. So I was asked to come to speak because you need to know what your next step is, right? Conservative Barbie said you need to know what your next step is. And a lot of you don't know what that is. And so how many of you want to get off the couch and you don't know what to do? It's a lot of you. Not enough. I know we're busy, and that's why we are losing our nation, because we're too busy. You have time to brush your teeth, you have time to stand up for your nation. It only takes a couple of minutes a day at minimum. So, what is Convention of States? How many of you know about Article 5 of the Constitution? Stand up if you would. Stand up if you've signed the petition. Awesome. Thank you so much. You are part of a group. We have over 277,000 supporters in Texas. We have over 4,000 volunteers in Texas. We have over 5 million supporters nationwide. Article 5 of the Constitution tells us how we can amend the Constitution. Part A says Congress can come and propose amendments, and those amendments that are proposed need to be ratified by each state. That's been done 27 times. We are calling for a Convention of States. Part B says that the states can come together and propose amendments. And what we're proposing is a limited convention, one for term limits, because the federal government will not impose term limits on themselves. 2, fiscal responsibility. Well, they're spending and printing and spending and printing. And 3, end federal overreach. You're living through federal overreach. So if you're clapping and you've not yet signed the petition, back here you can sign that petition. So once you sign the petition, you'll start getting our emails. And those emails will guide you and tell you what you can do next. One of the first things that you do is you're going to take online videos about your Constitution. Then you can choose to take action. Take action is a step you can take to apply for a volunteer position. We have social media warriors, we have prayer warriors, we have we have content writers, we have district captains, we have regional captains, we have telepatriot dialers. So we have a lot of positions open, and locally we have, if everybody could stand up, John, if you could stand up, raise your hand. He's a regional captain. Sherry Harrell back here is an event coordinator. stand up. She's our regional captain. This is Susan Hamilton. Who else do we have? We've got Shelby. So these are our volunteers right now in your area, and they have monthly meetings. Who else do we have? Am I missing? Bree back here. And then we also have Jessica. Where's Jessica? Back here. Awesome. So a lot of volunteers here today because they love East Texas. They want to get you involved. So what is it that we're doing? I mean, if we're fighting for the Article 5 of the Constitution, then what are we doing here in East Texas? Well, once we get to a convention where amendments are proposed, those amendments need to come back to the states to be ratified. And what does that mean? Ratification means it must go through the House and Senate, just like any other bill, and then signed off by our governor. So, and that for 38 states. So that needs to happen for 38 states. But in order for that to happen, and for us to be successful, we need a large grassroots army of self-governing, active, engaged citizens. You need to understand how your government works in order to make a change. So, what we're doing is we're teaching and training how to be active, engaged citizens. One of the things that you can do, as an example, let's say you are sick and tired and you're angry about the stolen election. Well, you need to understand your elections. Do you know what a VDR is? Volunteer Deputized Registrar. You can become a volunteer deputized registrar and register people to vote. That's the first thing that you can do. You can submit a FOIA request, which is an open records request to get the entire list of your county's voter registrations. Why do you need that? So that you know who's not registered. So if you get a list of those that are registered, you can take a look and see who's not registered and knock on their door and get them registered. You can inform those folks who's going to be on the ballot. You can print your ballot right now and know who's on it. Find out who's on it and start interviewing those candidates. Number two, when it comes to elections, you can raise your hand. You can go to your election administrator's office and say, I want to be an election clerk. I want to be a poll worker. So if you want to be a poll watcher, then you'll want to go to your favorite candidate and say, I want to be a poll watcher for you, because that's what a poll watcher does. An election clerk gets paid. You might get paid $13, $14 an hour for the 3 weeks that you're working the elections. But that way you understand how that works, how that process works. If you can't do it, find somebody else that can and have them come back to you and tell you how it all works. You can tour your election administrator's office. Call them up, say, I want a tour. I want to understand what that office does. Number three, post-elections, you can start canvassing. You can start going door to door. You can do a FOIA request of who voted. You can't see how they voted, but you can see who voted and where they live. You can see if the person who voted lives at the post office, because a lot of times those are the addresses that they're giving, the ones that are cheating, right? So if you're mad at the elections, those are some of the things that you can do. If you are mad at your school boards, what's the thing you can do? So I'm going to introduce Jessica. If you could come up, Jessica. Jessica is going to lead our state. She's from East Texas, and she's going to lead our state. She's going to lead our group called Parents for Convention of States, and we are going to all these over 4,000 volunteers that we have. We're gonna call on them and say, you know, how many of you are parents and want to do something about your school system? And we're going to start sharing with each other. So you want to go into detail real quick about Parents for C.O.S.?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Lowry. I originally started as a petition signer. I signed up to volunteer for Convention of States. And then I had a very personal experience happen. Y'all know the mask mandate in Longview, and I gave my kids a choice. I told them they could wear one if it made them more comfortable. They didn't have to. My daughter chose not to. And the principal put her into what he called a disciplinary room, where she sat for the duration of the entire day until they figured out what they were going to do with her. Children standing up for themselves doesn't seem to be Well, not only is it not the norm, but we have conditioned our children to sit down, hush, and just listen. And unfortunately, what they're being fed is not at all what we realize. I'm very grateful for COVID. I'm extremely grateful, because I think it gave a lot of community members, not just parents, but community members as a whole, to realize what these children are being fed every day. Our school systems are taking our kids so far away from anything moral. And community members need to. We absolutely have to stand up and fight for these children. We're adults. We're responsible for our own actions. But we are definitely responsible for these children. They shouldn't even know that there's a fight to be fought. County commissioners, precinct chairs, all of that is incredibly important, but your school board, that is where we're going to make an enormous difference. School board elections are coming up for us in Gregg County, in this area, 2 months. If we don't make some serious changes, the curriculum, the sex education that they're trying to implement in as young as kindergarten, these kids don't need to be exposed to this. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I am greatly encouraging everybody. I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know, my kids are grown. This is not my fight. But the children that these schools are producing are going to make decisions for everyone here. They're going to affect your community, whether you even have children or not. So getting involved in what the schools are feeding them or not feeding them is absolutely imperative. And I beg each and every one of you, if you haven't already, attend a school board meeting. Yes. Show up for the kids. Monday nights in Longview, once a month. And sign the petition. Thank you all.
Thank you. So, parents for C.O.S., we have election oversight for C.O.S. They're going to be teaching and training all those positions. We also then have precinct chairs for C.O.S. So how many of you know about precinct chairs? A couple of people. So precinct chairs is a extremely important, powerful position, and these seats are empty, and we need you to fill them. A lot of them are empty. These seats determine whether or not that elected official that's not doing their job, they will be the ones that censure that elected official. So what does that mean? That means that they get excommunicated from the party. That's important. That's what the party's not doing. That's what the party is not telling you, that is something that you can do. So you need to go to your county chairperson and ask them, can I fill a seat? And then get some training. Today we have a training in Lander, Texas. There were 102 people that signed up for that training. We only had the capacity for 80. So we're gonna start having more of those trainings. You can come just to find out what is this position and how do I do it. So that's a very important position. So what is precinct chairs for C.O.S.? That's going to be like an umbrella, so where you can call in and get some advice. You can share stories. You can say, share your resolutions that you're submitting. What are resolutions? That's when you say, I want to censure whatever elected official that you want to censure. So this week, Governor Greg Abbott was censured for the 15th time. That means 15 counties have censured Governor Abbott. They said he no longer belongs to our party according to our county's decision. So we have 254 counties in Texas, and the countdown is on. So those are some of the things that you can do, you can get involved in when it comes to Convention of States. We are getting local this year. A lot of you don't even know that Texas is in legislative session every other year. We were in legislative session last year. This year we are not in session. What does that mean? That means your state senators and your state House representatives are not in session. Okay? They're back at home, they're campaigning, they want your vote. Get their phone number, because this is the time that they give their phone numbers out. So that when we are back in legislative session, you'll have that cell phone number, not just their office number. We also teach people how to go to the Capitol and talk to their legislators. And it's really powerful when you can go to your legislator and say, I have this many petition signers that are in your district. And you can put a stack of them on their desk and they will listen. So that's powerful. So that's it's not you alone. It's we the people together that we're making a difference. Another little story that I can tell you about what we did in December when it came to school boards. We sent out a survey to school board candidates in the Houston area. This was a test. This is the first time that we did this. And I'm pulling it up because I want to read you guys the questions that we sent out to them. It was in Houston ISD. And I don't know if many of you know, Houston ISD, there was a school board member who then became the president of the National School Board Association, Viola Garcia. She's the one that wrote the letter to President Biden saying that we are all, us parents, are domestic terrorists. So that came out of Houston. So Houston is the 7th largest ISD in the nation. And so we did this test. We sent out to the candidates questions. Do you oppose all curriculum that incorporates the teachings of diversity, equity, and inclusion, critical race theory, and social emotional learning? Will you oppose COVID-19 vaccination mandates for students and school staff? Will you oppose mask mandates for all students and staff? Will you oppose policies that allow boys who identify as girls use the same bathrooms, locker rooms as girls? Do you support biology-based eligibility standards for participating in boys' sports and girls' sports? The ones that responded yes were the ones that we had some that responded yes and some that did not respond at all. Some that responded no, some didn't respond at all. So we printed that out, and then we did some block walking, and then we also had what we called a telepatriot mission. And what that means, a telepatriot mission, that means that we have a dialer. We had volunteers from 33 states call the voters in Houston ISD. We made 16,000 calls and told them and texted them that survey and told them that they were going to have a runoff. Most of them did not know that there was even a runoff, and that most of them didn't even know that there was an election. So it's really important to know when your next election is. So that's an example. So we were able to flip 2 seats for conservative values. So we will be implementing that again, but we need telepatriot volunteers to help make those phone calls. So that is Convention of States in a nutshell, and thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you.